welcome to the Coaxum Report. This is Terry Coaxum, and I am your host today. And I am joined today by a super amazing professional, Marcel Lashley. Marcel, I am super excited to have you on this show today. How's everything going?
Everything's awesome.
Awesome.
I am in the space of constantly expressing my gratitude, no matter what's happening. I'm sure that there's always something that I can find that I can give thanks for. So I'm feeling great.
That's right, the attitude of gratitude.
That's
So,
right.
Marcel, I'm not sure if you know that. So the Coaxum Report, you can catch us on Roku, you can catch us on Fire, on Amazon, also on Android. I encourage my listeners to download the app so that they can catch us at any time. And anyone that's listening, they're listening in the Caribbean, throughout all of the Caribbean, throughout the United States and Southeast Asia. So you may have a friend to pick up the phone and say they saw you on the Coaxum
Fantastic.
Report.
That's
So
right. Tap in all my
mhm,
Caribbean connections, all of my
absolutely.
Asian connections. Tap in. Let me know that you're seeing us. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. And then also WSTX Bloomberg. So we're also on Bloomberg Radio. So people are listening to us as well as watching us. And so the Coaxum Report, as I told you early on, is all about small business. So we're we're talking about various best practices and, of course, big ideas, but want to share with our listening audience more of the big ideas. Like, we don't want to just have problems, we want to have solutions. And so that's why I'm excited to have you come on and talk to us about your business, what you're doing globally, and let us know, what are some of those barriers in this space that you're playing in? Because you're playing in a huge space as far as education is concerned, as far as girls are concerned, and you're literally changing the game in business as usual, disrupting business as usual. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what that looks like in your space, and then we're going to jump right into it. So tell our listening audience who you are, tell us a little bit about your business, and what really made you gravitate to where you are right now.
Oh man. First of all, thank you again for having me. I
Absolutely.
love that I'm a disruptor. The little Marcel who constantly asked questions and who was fidgety and talkative and always used to get complaints. There's
Yes,
something about her that feels vindicated
that's
in
right.
being a
Because you're
disruptor.
disrupting business as usual.
But also in being able to use that disruption to impact change and to,
Absolutely.
so I accept that. Thank you very much. I am Marcel Lashley Kabori. I am a global strategist, global business strategist and leader, and a three-time Emmy award-winning producer.
Woo, woo. All
I have
right.
to remember, there you go, two of them back there. But I have to remember to say that because I often forget, and people are like, "Wait a minute, what about the Emmys?" So I do have to say that it's a
That's
thing.
right.
But what I'm here today is to discuss Girls with Knowledge and GWK Global, which I am the founder and CEO of. And GWK Global is Girls with Knowledge, which is now GWK Global, is a 501c3 not-for-profit organization and global foundation with the mission to prepare and empower the next generation of female socialpreneurs and
That's right.
global business leaders. Right. So we're not just talking about, listen, Terry, you and I know both as women of color, the impact that we have and the fact that when people want to get things done, who do they galvanize, right?
That's right.
Who do they, it's
Absolutely.
us, right? And so there is so much power in us, not just as global leaders, but also as socialpreneurs. And I
That's
want to
right.
make sure that,
I like
yeah,
socialpreneurs. All right, get out your pens,
socialpreneurs.
get out your pencil. She's gonna drop some nuggets.
And so, the work that we do in GWK is global. Our goal is to create equitable economic outcomes by addressing social, racial, cultural, and economic disparities. Right?
Absolutely.
We gotta address it. We gotta know it's there. We
That's
have to
right.
redefine the narrative, and we have to, um, you know, rewrite and rewrite and disrupt historical patterns. Right? We have to
Exactly.
disrupt those historical patterns, redefine the narrative. And that's, again, what this platform has been able to do. And I appreciate that, being able to discuss the barriers, discuss the best practices, share big ideas, and
That's
like
right.
disrupt status quo as we know it, right?
Absolutely, especially with our girls. I remember having conversation when I was with Small Business Administration. I had one of the leaders from Africa, and she spoke about how girls are raised to compete, and it's not good competition. We're raised to compete for the attention of our male counterparts. We're raised to raise families, and we're not, there's no pause or disruption to say you can be that global leader.
Yeah.
You can change, you can be the socialpreneur.
Yeah.
You can accomplish any and everything that you put your mind to it, right?
That's right.
And so that's why I'm excited, like, to have you on and having this conversation with you, because as you know, you are in my grandson's school, right?
Yeah.
Your program is in my grandson's school, and he's super excited about the program. He's super excited about the leader of the program, and so that's why it's really important for us to have this conversation now, because there is an opportunity here that I don't want to miss out on, and it is global, and people are listening to us that are going to get these nuggets that you're dropping on how to move forward, on how to empower our young women to grow into these socialpreneurs, into these leaders, and to these play, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. People do tap into us, for our knowledge, our skills, our ability, and our experience. But, you hear me say this often. I want to die empty. Like, I want to take all of that, right? Everything that we've been given. And I want to pour it into these young women, into these young men, and give them the foundation that they need to be the disruptors and to be able to pull other people up. I had a conversation with our assemblywoman, and she was my guest speaker at an event. And I said to her, I said, you epitomize the leader that the only time you should be looking down at a woman is when you're trying to pull her up.
That's right.
That is who Assemblywoman Latrice Walker is.
That's right.
She embodies that. And so I want all of our young people to understand that they too can be that, right?
That's right.
And so, what are some of the barriers to where you are? And then we want to go into vision, right? Because I want this to be huge, right? I want to be able to share this platform with you in a way that you are bringing others into the fold that have not heard of GWK, Girls with Knowledge, right? Global. I want them to be a part of that. And I also want them to share it with their networks, because that's how we're going to grow this into the movement and disrupt business as usual.
That's right. Well, shout out to Miss Destiny, who is the program. I'm not going to name the school for the sake of the privacy of your grandson. Destiny, and you speaking to collaboration, because
right.
One of the things that is most important, and I had to learn it kind of the hard way, is that we have to collaborate in order to get this done.
That's
the
right.
African proverb says, "I can go alone and go fast, but we go further together," right? And so earlier on in my career as an experiential marketing event producer and delivering large campaigns and platforms in tech, right? Being a Black woman in tech 15 years ago, and producing the consumer electronics showcases for Verizon and Apple and Amazon, I was the only Black woman.
Right.
I was sometimes the only woman. Period. Right? Not even white women were there, right? I'm literally, in a white male dominated industry.
That's right.
Right. And so what would happen is, if another woman came on the scene, in opposition to embracing her and being like, sis, I'd be like, she's coming for me because there's only room for one of us.
Oh,
there's only room for one of us, because I'm the only one here. I'm the only one I see. Who is that one? Wait a minute. She must be coming for me. And so immediately it would be,
competition.
Right. Competitive spirit. Like, and she'd have that same kind of, we would do the courteous smile, but in the back of our minds, we knew that there was only room for one. And that was really a critical place for me to come to internally when I was developing GWK. I was like, why is there only room for one?
There's a whole pie. There's a whole pie. And we don't even want the same things from that
we don't even want
pot,
the same
right?
thing. We all bring something different. We bring
All bring something
perspective.
different.
Like, why is everybody with their cookie cutter? You bring in a little bit of diversity, and we have to compete for that little bit of space. No, let's widen up that pie
Right.
because that diversity is necessary, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
And so that that made me change my perspective. I wanted to having that in experience made me want to change that perspective and redefine that narrative for girls.
That's right.
Right. And
You
so
know,
that's
it's really
part of our programming.
This is really important because, I know, I teach at Medgar Evers College and I teach human resources and I teach in a public administration program. And so I have an opportunity to hit the ground running and get my leaders, I make them future commissioners from day one, right? They're commissioners and chairs from day one. I make them, I put them in a mastermind group from day one. But one of the things that I have them read 2 books. And one is How to Get to Yes. Right. And the other one is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Right. Because I need them to understand that some competition is healthy, but there's an opportunity for all of us. And I tell people all the time that pie, every one of us can get a slice. And I even give them an example that's given in the book. And it's about an orange, so there's an orange, right? And there's only one orange left. So that's that diversity piece, right? It's only one, me or you, one of us, right? So there's only one orange left. So in the spirit of growing, what are you going to do with that orange? How are you going to approach that orange, right? And so I have them think about it and they give me, well, let's split it up. Well, I'll get the juice and I'll share. And I'm like, okay, those are all good answers. But let's first start by asking the question, what do you want that orange for?
Yes.
And one person says, well, I want to drink the juice. And the other one says, well, I want to use the peel for my pie. So we don't have to split that orange at all.
Not at all. I want the seeds so I can.
Yeah, exactly. So I can plant it in the ground so I can get some more oranges later. Right. But when they look at it that way, they're like, hold on. So I don't have to approach every situation with a compromise or competition in mind. And they're shocked. And this is on the ground learning. And so now they can look at that holistic employee as opposed to just that one person and our bottom line of making money.
That's right.
Like I have to approach it holistically. And the same thing you're doing with Girls with Knowledge, right? You understand that diversity is needed because you were in that space. And there was only one of you in that space.
Sadly alone in that space.
Exactly. And you understood the importance of having that diversity at the table because there were probably many conversations that were had and people couldn't understand your viewpoint because there was only one of you at that table. So we know the necessity of needing more of us at that table, right? So you created the table.
I created
That's what I'm talking about.
The table.
Hello.
The table.
You created the table.
Yeah.
So now they can have a conversation with you about what space you need to play in as far as best practices and big ideas because you saw the need for that space. You saw that
barrier.
You saw that barrier and you made a way for that barrier to become an opportunity.
That's right.
And opportunities, because this isn't just here in New York. This is a global movement that you've created. And that's why I started off with disruption. And I'm super excited to have you talk about that because I want individuals that are thinking about what you're doing and thinking about doing something similar or maybe joining you and your movement.
Sure.
And they'll understand there's room for all of us. Because not all of us want the same thing. Like I don't want the same thing from that orange that you want from that orange. And so we don't have to compromise. We can absolutely have 110% of what we want from this experience without splitting it in any way. And that's important to understand.
Listen, I'm so excited. I mean, again, for opportunities like this to be able to share what we're doing and to invite the community to come in and to collaborate and to partner with us because it is not something. And again, this is a shift in my own mindset. I've been so used to for years doing it on my own.
That's right.
I've been so used to for years trying to figure out how to get it done, doing 35 million things. weighing, carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders, like
That's
Black
right.
women do.
That's right. We'll
And
do it all the time.
now,
That's on your chest. Take
huh?
that off your
Okay,
chest,
take
girl.
that off. And so, now I have fully embraced, because I've seen the power of collaboration. I
That's right.
fully embrace the mindset that it is not for me to do alone.
Nope.
It is, I do not have to do it alone.
That's
And
right.
not only do I not have to do it alone, but like it's gonna be better when I invite other people in.
Collective. That's right.
Oh,
When there's a collective.
100%. It is
Absolutely.
going to be better. And I'm telling you, I definitely, I can remember and recall instances earlier on in my career and in my development where it was like, it was my sandbox. I want to play all the sandbox. I'm the only one that can do it because I'm the only one that can do it right. Like all of that, So
like most small business owners, right?
yeah,
Like
especially
you're definitely
type
speaking to
A
the converted.
and now I've realized like I don't have to be the smartest one in the room. I just got to
Nope.
be smart enough to put all the smart
The right
people
people.
together.
All right, Henry Ford. All right, Henry Ford. So, one of my favorite books is Think and Grow Rich. As you see, I read a lot of self-help, right? But in Think and Grow Rich, I remember watching the movie and having that conversation. And one of the illustrators said, I love the Henry Ford story. I love the Henry Ford story because, the press made him out to be an ignorant pacifist or whatever, right? And he's like, I'm going to sue them because that is not my story, right? So he's on the stand and he's testifying on his own behalf. And so they asked him a question and he said, listen, I don't have to clutter up my mind with knowledge I don't need. He said, I got a push button on my desk and I can press it to get any amount of information that I need. And anyone clearly understands that is not an ignorant person.
That's right.
In fact, he's super smart to know what he knows.
That's right.
And know what he don't know and be able to tag someone in
and be okay with that.
Let it go.
We definitely have friends in common who I've seen that demonstrate. Like, that's not what I do. I do this.
Right.
This is my expertise.
That's
Somebody
right.
else going to do that. And I know that that's not my expertise. And I'm not trying to make it my expertise.
Exactly. In fact, I don't even like doing that.
Yeah.
That's like, I tell my friends all the time and they laugh at me. I'm like, I don't like administrative work. It's not my thing, but there's people that love it. Like my daughter loves that type of work. Like she can come in and like clear the desk in seconds. And I'm sitting up here struggling with that because that's not what I do. Like I am the speaker. I'm the person that bring people in. I'm the person that can market. I'm the person that can gain all of the attention that you need on your product or your widget or whatever, right? But when you ask me to sit down and put all that data together and give you a deck, I'm going to tag somebody in.
That's right. You're the person that's going to tag in, the expert who does that.
And like to do it too. I want to tag in somebody that enjoys it.
Well,
why are you taking away somebody's job? Somebody actually like that
job. Opportunities for individuals. And why not maximize your effort and your strength and do the thing that only you can do? Right.
And we're all unique in that way, Marcel. We're all unique in that way. We all come with our own set of tools that are in our toolbox, our own expertise, right? And so, when I look at you, I look at girls working and getting that knowledge and sharing that knowledge and developing that knowledge and going into the classroom. Like I see that person because every time you speak about it, it is a smile on your face. It's something that you love to do. It's no longer work. It's like, that's my thing. Like that's what I do. Right. And when you look at me and you say connecting, that's what I do. I connect people because relationships matter. And so if it's about connecting, call me, I got you. Right. And so we understand what part of that sandbox we like to play in. Mm-hmm. And it's okay, is what I'm saying to our listening audience. If you have a particular part of that sandbox that you like to play in, then I say that you invest in that part of your sandbox and be the best, whatever that you are called to be, whether that's a widget maker, whether that's a worker, whatever that is, like be your best and then tag in the others to do the other part of it. And that's what this network is about too, Marcel, right? Yeah. Understanding that there's people out there that can add value to whatever we're doing in this world. And that's why it was really important for you to have that paradigm shift early on when you were in that space and you were looking around saying, she coming for me because there's only room for one of us. And now to have that complete mindset shift where you're now, not only are you not coming for her, you bringing her with you. And then you're adding value by bringing the others on board too.
5 of them.
That's
and
right.
showing you why all of us is different and you need
That's
every
right.
single one of us.
Absolutely.
Right? What you need is every single one of us.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so it's powerful. I am so happy to have been delivered. To be delivered. I'm so happy to, to be of this mindset now and to help pour this mentality into the younger generation so that they don't have to experience some of the things that I've experienced.
That's right. And just even the name itself, though, Marcel, Girls with Knowledge.
I mean, as simple as it is, this is Girls with Knowledge. That's just who we are.
That's what we need. That's what we need. That's what we need on these streets. We need girls with knowledge on these streets.
Right. So our approach, is basically to use creative vehicles to develop life skills in entrepreneurship, financial literacy, social activism, and personal wellness.
Nice.
Is really, really important. So there's a lot of, again, we've talked about it, and you still see this same mentality of there only being room for one of us when you talk about financial literacy and when you talk about not even just financial literacy, but sourcing capital for your entrepreneurial endeavors as a woman. That's right. A lot of us that have businesses, but then it's like, okay, getting those contracts and getting funding and that just seems to be, like there's not enough room for everybody, but there is.
But it is. There's $1 billion spend, and that's what I do in my space. I get the businesses certified, and then I help them get those contracts. I help them go after contracts that they can be successful with. Right. So not everybody is your customer, or no one is your customer. Right. Getting them to understand that. You should be running your business and your business shouldn't be running you, right? Getting them to understand that there is capital and you should be looking towards building wealth, whether it's a nonprofit organization or a for-profit organization. And I tell my business all the time that if you're in business and you're not making money, you're not in a business. That's a hobby. We need you to have a business.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? We need you to have some staff.
That's right.
We need you to have employees, I should say, in the business as you grow the business. And of course, there's stepping stones and there's
independent contractors along the way that you can use until you get to that. Yep. Until
collaboration, subcontractors, consultants, all of that. But we need you to know that, again, it's not for you to just do this on your own.
That's right.
Business scales, your team should scale too, so that you could expand your reach. And that's essentially what we've been able to do in GWK and what we're striving to continue to do in GWK by expanding globally. Because entrepreneurship, and you live in this space, you eat, sleep, and breathe this space, but the majority of workers in developing countries are self-employed.
Yes,
they just are, right? And whether it's in agriculture or in healthcare, these small scale entrepreneurs, they still face though a high risk of poverty. And what we've seen is entrepreneurship being used as a mode of survival.
That's right.
Day to day, what can I do today? Whether it's
be able to eat
or making something to be able to eat.
That's right.
And so the fundamental skills are there.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to change now the mindset so that you're thinking about it as not just a way to survive, but a way to thrive and create generational wealth for you and your families, create opportunities to enhance the economic status of your environment, really ties into the GDP even of your country.
That's right.
Right? And so that is part of what we're trying to accomplish in having our programming be global, because here in the US, particularly with the programs that we have in the Bronx and in Brooklyn and in Queens, our demographic of young people are first generation Americans.
That's right.
They come from immigrant families or first or second generation Americans. And, they understand the journey that a lot of immigrants have had in coming to America and doing what? Starting some sort of business.
That's right. So we're gonna pause. We're gonna pause right there because we do have to take a commercial break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back. But I want you to really think about that because we're gonna build on that, especially the hunger that comes along with that first generation. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Today we're taking a little vacation on the west end of St. Croix, visiting a seaside restaurant called the Beachside Cafe here at Sandcastles on the Beach.
The atmosphere is just wonderful.
You just feel very welcome when you're here.
Hi! I'd like to introduce Chris and Ted, who are the owners of Beachside Cafe and also Sandcastles on the Beach. This is amazing!
Thank you.
Sandcastle on the Beach is quiet and friendly, relaxing.
I often entertain guests, and this is the one place I always try to bring people.
Tell us a little bit about the hotel.
Well, the hotel is a 25-room hotel. We have 10 different room types within that. We also have, of course, our greatest asset, the ocean out there, which our side of the island is very calm typically. So it's the best swimming beach and also great for snorkeling.
And just walking, doing a nice walking beach tour.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Best beach access is right here, so we love them.
And we're also fortunate we have just up the way Sandy Point National Park, and then Frederickstead Town is just a mile away. Mm-hmm. And so we're really fortunate to be in this perfect spot.
I used to watch BET, MTV, VH1, now I watch Tempo. Soca, Calypso, Reggae Dancehall. Don't stall, better get tuned in to the tempo. Don't have cable, they got an app. Go to your app store, download that. Whether it's tourism, cuisine, or the social scenes, if it ain't Tempo, it's a rap. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. It's the latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. It's the latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo.
Welcome back. So this is super exciting. I always say that when we go on commercial, they always want me to go to the Virgin Islands just to eat the food.
Literally. I mean, I was just sitting here now. Terry knows she wrong for this commercial because it's cold in New York City, and I want to be on that beach.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
that
It's all about advertisement, bringing us in. So, when we took our quick commercial break, you were absolutely talking about something that's so important globally. Talking about here in the United States and globally, and how generational wealth is meant to go, right? We know how working every day as an entrepreneur to survive works,
Yeah.
right? But you guys are taking it a step further, and you're making sure that they are these opportunities that these individuals that you're working with, especially the young people, they have these opportunities now for generational wealth. Before we jump back into it, I got so excited that I forgot to say you can download our app on our TV network. I encourage you to do so. We're on the marketplace. Of course, one of our sponsors and partners is Tempo. And, you can catch us on Roku, on Amazon Fire, and of course on Android. And so you're listening to the Coaxum Report, and we are being broadcast live throughout the United States, throughout the Caribbean and Southeast Asia. And so I'm super happy to have you on.
is fantastic. We gotta get you in Africa. So that all of
I'm ready.
our GWK Global cohorts in West Africa can also tap in. But
Absolutely. I'm down.
So excited. But yeah, I mean, entrepreneurship for us is extremely important to help fight against poverty.
That's right.
Right? Empowering self-employed workers to improve their jobs and income stability is key as a pathway out of poverty.
That's
and
right.
So being able to use this in entrepreneurship, obviously we talked about it even creates jobs, right? So like starting first with your business idea, tapping into, whatever your secret sauce is, whatever solution you're coming up with to the world's problems.
That's
right. And then, being able to think big, the big ideas that you're talking about, because those big ideas are going to require support. They're going to require collaboration, support, a team effort. And that in essence really allows you to help create employment opportunities for other people. And so, it's critical, it's critical. And we think that it's an ideal way to give people living in poverty the opportunity to better their situation in a sustainable way.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And then we're also, I think that we even need to go a step further, because it's the knowledge, right? So most people that I've encountered in my travels throughout the country that are living in poverty, that are entrepreneurs, they have a good product. But it's their mindset. It's the knowledge that they need to be able to build wealth. Like at that point, they're in survival mode. They're literally in survival mode, not just for themselves, but for their families. But when you at GW Global are able to impart in them the wisdom that they need to build wealth, in addition to just being an entrepreneur, I think that a socialpreneur, I love it. I think that it is essential to coming out of poverty, but not just for yourself.
That's right.
For generations.
But this is why, and again, you said this a lot. We talk about this. You perpetuate this. For us, the entrepreneurship and the financial literacy is synonymous almost. Like it's hand in hand, because what we know is that we know how to run a business, right? Well, let me say that different. What we know is that we have a skill and we can use that skill to make us money.
That's right.
Survive. Right? We know we have a skill. We know we can do something, whether it's cooking or sewing or doing nails or doing hair. We know how to use our hands, use our minds to be able to make this earn us income.
That's right.
Keeping the money.
That's right.
Managing the money, growing the business, making it sustainable. Now that is a whole different
concept.
So
it's a set of concepts that they're not only they're not used to, there is no blueprint, right? Because when you're saying, and I go back to first generation, and I say this all the time. I taught at both Medgar Evers College and at John Jay College. And I'm an alum of John Jay. I love my alum. I love John Jay, right? But what I found myself encountering when I had the two colleges in my portfolio was that in my John Jay students, they were usually students that their parents had graduated from John Jay and they were somehow in law enforcement. And so their choice was different. It was a choice between going to school and making sure you further your education and you get a better job and you go into law enforcement. That was the choice. Whereas my students at Medgar Evers were still first generation.
Okay.
And the choice was go to school and build better for our generation. And so they came hungry. And so that hunger translated into longer hours, staying in the classroom past time, texting, calling, phone, like really trying to be fed. They were hungry. And they were always willing to go the extra mile, to do the extra work, to get the extra credit, to be in the extra place, to do the extra interns, because they understood that education was the key to unlocking poverty in their generation.
That's right.
And so what I hear you saying is with the girls that are gaining this knowledge, they're gaining a key to unlock poverty in their generation.
Yeah.
And I think that is, it's more than critical. It's more than essential. It's necessary.
It is necessary. It is. And we are so proud that there are some partnerships that we are have been able to establish with organizations here in New York in particular that that are targeting housing vulnerable communities and the young people that exist within them, right? And so when you're talking about homelessness, traditionally you focus on the mom, right? Because mom, once again, women, right? You focus on mom because mom, if you can get mom right, then you're going to get the whole house right. But in that, what happens is there's that whole next generation, because while we're putting out fires for mom and all the resources are going to making sure that mom has housing or a job or whatever, there's also this next generation that's repeating the patterns, right? Because that's all they know. Right. And so to be able to now partner with various shelters throughout New York City to reinforce our philosophy, our mission, our vision, our goals, and our approach in GWK to have programs there is essential, because while we do want and we want to encourage all of them to go to school, there is still a large amount of students that are housing vulnerable that are not making it to school. Mm-hmm. They're not going to school, right?
It's really interesting that you would say that. I had a situation I also taught at Metropolitan College in New York. And I remember, and I taught in the Bronx, and I remember having a conversation with one of the deans at the time, because I don't know if my class was lit, it was on fire, I don't know, but students would not leave. When
that class was lit and on fire.
I don't know what it was.
Right? Terry Coaxum.
So I asked my dean, I said, listen, when I was in school, when class was over, I was out. I was like, it's over, I'm out. But my students, they lingered, they stayed around. Right. We had more conversation. Like the other professors had to kick us out. Like,
it's good.
He said, your class is a safe space for them.
That's right.
I said, what? He totally changed my trajectory. He was like, yeah, he said, you're offering them a safe space. He said, a lot of the students that you have, they live with a lot of people in the home. And so they're not able to get that safe space. And he said there may be some situations where they're housing insecure, and you're giving them a safe space and you're offering that. And then you're also giving them your resources. And I was like, wow, I never thought about it. So I started paying attention, Marcel.
Right.
And I had this student, I had her 2 years in a row. And the first year I had her, she was on fire. She was phenomenal. She was doing everything she needed to do. This particular semester, she was struggling. Okay. And so when I started paying attention to what he said, I called her on the side. I said, hey, I want you to help me with so-and-so. And she was always very helpful. And I said, it seems like you're struggling a little this semester. What's going on? And she said, well, yeah, I got kicked out. My mom kicked me out, and I'm living from couch to couch, and I'm trying to make it work, but sometimes I can't get my clothes. And, she's going into all of these things that's going on when I'm like, wait, what? I wasn't ready. Right? But I got ready.
That's right.
I got ready. Real quick. And as soon as she ran down what was going on with her, I gave her access to all of these resources, and she was able to get the support she needed, and she finished strong. But I say that to you to say that in our community, I can't speak to anybody else's community, but in my brown community, you're not supposed to let people know what's going on in your house. You're not supposed to ask for da-da-da. You're not supposed, like all of these things that I tell my kids, throw it out the window and let's start from scratch, right? Because if you need a problem, a closed mouth don't get fed. Nope. If you have a problem, you got to let me know you have a problem, or I don't know you have a problem. That's similar right. With my students. My students, a few of my students, you know, they had that triple threat. Like they were sick and they were still trying to make class, and I'm like, it seems like you're not on point today. What's going on? And they're like sending me their documents, and I'm like, what? Hey, you're doing what? So what I'm gonna need you to do is heal, right? So once you heal, then you'll be able to give your whatever, and then we can make up for whatever. But I need you to speak to me. I need communication. So when I think about girls with knowledge, I'm thinking about, you're not just offering them that safe space, because you are offering them that safe space. You're offering them opportunities and resources that they would never have access to, simply by way of you communicating and talking to other people and bringing them into the fold. But more importantly, you are unlocking that key. You're unlocking that key to entrepreneurship. You're unlocking that key to breaking poverty, to food insecurity, to housing insecurity. And you're giving them the tools that they need to be able to build and grow into these women, these phenomenal women that we know they're going to be, because with that foundation, they're able to do that. You know, you build that foundation in the ground. You don't just put a house on dirt, right?
Foundation.
We
right? need things to last. We need
a lasting, solid foundation, and that's what you're offering them. And so that you know, that in itself is just commendable. So thank you so much for that. And even, you know, I go back to the barriers because I need my listening audience to understand. Like, Marcella is not saying I didn't have barriers, right? Mm-hmm. She's saying because of the barriers, because I was that one, I created the table to now have the masses at the table. And I always tell my students, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. It's not that decisions aren't being made. They're being made. You're just on the menu and not at the table.
Wow. Now I got to write that one down.
You're on the menu, right?
Table, you on the menu. You're gonna
menu. And it's not that decisions aren't being made about that menu. They still being made. You're just not at the space to make the decisions about what's on the menu.
And part of that is just the again, going back to little Marcel, the little girl who just doesn't want to be told no. Right? Like, what do you mean no? Why?
How do we get to yes?
Yes. And so it's like, well, do I have to go around? Do I have to go over? Do I have to go under? Do I have to knock it down? Do I have to build something? Like, what? I know the answer cannot.
I know we must get to yes.
How do we get to yes? How do we change this narrative? How do we redefine this? How do we disrupt this historical pattern? How do we do something different? You cannot tell me that this is the only way.
That's
particularly when it's not working, right? And so they say the definition of
that part
is
doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
This crazy. Right? This is crazy. And so there's a lot of that. And I say that because one of the things that I like to do with GWK and with our young ladies in particular is take those things, those narratives, and those perceptions that people have of you and the things that people say are negative, and how do we switch that? So my teachers would be like, Marcel's talkative, Marcel's fidgety, Marcel always asking questions, Marcel is rebellious. Listen, we done already seen today, just in the beginning of this conversation, as far as being a disruptor, how all of these little things that the teachers complain
are so invaluable.
if directed, right? If having access, opportunity, and education can really be redirected to make sure that they're my superpower. Those are my superpowers.
That's right.
And if my parents suppressed them the way that the teachers wanted them to be suppressed, I wouldn't be me. You know, so I definitely encourage those young ladies to lean into those narratives, but to redirect them in a different, you know, to look at them from a more positive light. And how can you take that thing that you do? If you're talkative, listen, what are we talking about? Right? If you just can't be quiet, okay, fine. Let's make sure what you're talking about is something that's going to impact change. That's going to, you know, that's going to cause disruption, particularly if that disruption is going to help to help establish equity or agency for other people or for yourself or for your family or whatever that is. So
that's right.
That is, so there are barriers. There were barriers. There still are barriers.
That's
There's
right.
barriers at every level. But we're just going to constantly think about new ideas, fresh approaches. And again, it's
right. Best practices, big ideas. And also rewriting the narrative, not just with the young ladies, but with the instructors that you have access to. 100%. And I think that's extremely important. I had an opportunity when I was working in the DA's office to mentor about 150 kids. And those young people and their lives are amazing. Like I get chills when I think about what we were told, the narratives that we were told about them, that they would not do this and they would not do that. Right. And they're successful. We took them out of the concrete jungle into spaces that they were like, Aunt Terry, where's the concrete? And I'm like, yeah, you ain't Kansas anymore. This is not concrete jungle. You're upstate New York. Guess what? There's 57 counties outside of those 5 boroughs. Did you know?
We are still in New York.
Exactly. This is a horse. This is a horse that you're going to ride. How about that? Let's get these equestrian lessons on the way. Just really just opening up their eyes to possibilities and to just things that they would never have access to. And these kids were very successful. I mean, one of them in particular, they told us, don't worry with him. He's going to be a statistic, whatever. He is now a detective at a precinct driving around a commanding officer. And another one, she actually went into a role similar to mine in a DA's office. I mean, just like those were rewarding experiences, but it's because I didn't believe the narratives. There were situations where I had young people that we would help them with their homework. And I had an instructor I'm not going to call the school to protect the guilty here in Brooklyn, that would not accept her homework because she said she'd never done her homework this whole semester. But this time she did. So I went up to the school and we about to shut it down together. Because what you're not going to do is discourage her from doing homework the rest of the semester because you don't want to accept it now because I'm letting you know she did it and she had support and encouragement and she will do it for her. And she was able to graduate. You know what I'm saying? I mean, those are the types of narratives that we need to disrupt as well, because there are individuals that I remember when my daughter was going to high school, and I remember the guidance counselor telling other students not to apply for certain schools. Oh, don't apply for Harvard. Don't apply for Yale. Don't apply because you won't be able to pay for it. I said, pay for it. It's an endowment. What are you doing? Like, yes, if they get in, we will get it paid for. Like, what are you doing? Don't let your obstacle be their reality. That's a narrative that we have to rewrite as well. And that's why we're on this platform having this conversation about these barriers, because I want, especially individuals that have access to young minds, I want them to understand that what you say to them is powerful.
Absolutely.
And they're going to believe it. What I want the young people to understand is what people say about you is none of your business.
None of your business.
What you believe about yourself.
That's right.
And if you don't believe it, tag me in. I got you, right? Tag Marcel in. She got you, right? We're going to pour into you because we understand that our purpose in life is to empower and to encourage other people. And that's why we're giving these God-given gifts, our superpowers, so that we can give it to you so you can then have the superpowers that you need to take this world to the next level.
That's right.
And that's how we impact change in our lifetime and in generations to come. And that's why it's so important that we're having this conversation. We all have barriers.
We do.
But there is some best practices out there, similar to what Marcel is doing with Girls with Knowledge, similar to what I'm doing with Coaxum Connects, with both the LLC and the Wellness Foundation. We are impacting change because we understand the importance of it. And young people, I mean, I will even say working with young people is a superpower.
You know what? And I'll tell you this. That's why I had to shout out Miss Destiny. Because Miss Destiny is in that school every day.
Absolutely.
I get to be visionary. I get to come up with more great ideas. I get to empower more people with opportunities.
Right.
I get to think about curriculum. I get to fundraise.
Right.
Destiny is on that front line building those relationships.
Right. Every single day. And let me tell you, they're never going to forget her. Like my grandson was like, that's our teacher.
Never.
He wants me to know this is an important person in his life.
So awesome. But yeah. It's her superpower,
Working
and
with young people
again,
is a superpower.
I remember when I first started, and that was my superpower, 10 years ago,
That's
right?
right.
Started
That's right.
the first programs and all of that. But as entrepreneurs, as socialpreneurs, as we grow our businesses, as they scale, your role has to change.
That's right. And you can't be afraid to change.
You can't be
with your
afraid.
business.
I can't be that founder that won't let go.
That's
right? I have to be that person that's like, okay, what is it? Rising tide lifts all ships. We all gonna grow.
That's right.
We're gonna all grow together. And so, which brings me to our big idea.
Yes.
One of the big idea that GWK Global is going into 2023 with is, and you're the first to know about it. We are launching in Midtown Manhattan, House of GWK, which is our entrepreneurship incubator that will cultivate young activists, entrepreneurs, and the world's next global leaders.
That's right.
It is going to be, it's our space. So that safe space that you talked about, we are looking to not just have our programs in the schools and in the shelters and the places that we have our programs, but we also want to be able to get an opportunity to pull those young people out of their environment and create a new safe space for them. And the beauty of this House of GWK is that it is also a collaborative space for other female entrepreneurs.
Nice.
So it's not just, so we have our programming there, but this
you're going to give them access to other entrepreneurs with other big ideas, and that's how the synergy grows.
To Terry and all of Miss Terry's cohort of entrepreneurs that she's been, helping to empower.
Now, what are the ages for your girls? What are the ages?
So in schools, we have been focusing on middle school and high school.
Okay.
At the House of GWK, I don't know that we are going to. I mean, that is our sweet spot because, again, that is where, they're going to be working on their collaborative projects and building their entrepreneurial endeavors. And we're seeing it through to the end. Like, this is not just, this is not just like,
a starter project, right?
No, this is your, and again, there are checks and balances and things that they have to do to ensure that this is something that they really want to pursue so that they get that continued support. And that was the other thing. I started to notice that while we kept relationships with the young people that came through our program, because I got to tell you, we got boys in GWK,
that's right?
Right? But the young people that came through our program, we kept relationships and we keep in touch with them. But sometimes because our programs are in schools, it's just hard because they
go off to other places and other spaces.
And so, so I've been like, brick and mortar has been important to me. Like, bring back the old school community centers that were the dope places that the kids wanted to be after school, in opposition to chasing whatever they're chasing on the streets. But like, make this a place where not only can they come and collaborate and it's safe and there's that they're sharing and they're growing and it's a turn up and they're having a great time, but they're also making money. They're also learning about money.
Which is really important.
Which is what is attractive about the streets sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
It is that part. It's that part.
And so we need to be able to create that space for them there and those opportunities for them there. And so we're doing that in our Midtown Manhattan location. I'm so excited. We want to get one in Brooklyn.
Okay.
We'll have these houses of GWK in all of our locations that are abroad.
Nice. And it's really interesting because we're definitely going to partner in some things because I do have a wellness foundation. And so the emphasis behind the wellness foundation is to take young people from 5th grade throughout college and pay for it all. So I want to introduce them to all of these opportunities, from equestrian to, etiquette training, to entrepreneurship, to internships. They're going to have a sponsor because they, somebody got to write a check, right? They're going to have a mentor, and they'll have these experiences, and just partnering with GWK will make it even easier for them to have that safe space that they can go to at any time, right?
Absolutely.
So we want to be the Bill and Melinda Gates of the hood, right? We want to be able to offer them the opportunities, but we also want to be able to take it to the, like GWK, we want to take it to the end. You want to take it to them building generational wealth. We want to take it to them being educated. We
That's
want
right.
them to be educated from the 5th grade on, because at that point we realize that those kids are a little on the teeter-totter, right? They're like, oh, I'm a kid. No, I'm an adult. No, I'm a kid. But if
Right.
we can use them
Developmentally.
and have an impact in their lives at that age, that's how we change the game on these streets. And so it's really important for us all to work together collaboratively, and not just the bad kids.
No,
We want all kids.
that's right.
And that's the difference, because I hear my kids say to me all the time, Aunt Terry, what about me? Like, I'm an A student, but I need support.
That's right. That's
We
right.
want to make sure we're supporting them as well. And GWK is already doing that, because you're taking all kids. And we want to make sure that we're supporting and encouraging that endeavor as well. So we need to wind down now. We only got a few minutes, but I'm
Wow.
closing thoughts.
See, it's just too much. We're having so much fun. Listen, 2023.
Yes.
Going into 2023 with immense gratitude, extreme gratitude.
That's
but
right.
also with big vision, with
That's
big
right.
ideas, and not allowing any of those, not allowing fear to block any of those ideas, but definitely knowing that with the visions that we have, we don't have to do it alone. There is collaboration. Like, I'm so excited because I'm thinking about all the stuff I want to do with House GWK, and I'm like, Terry got that part. Like, I didn't think about the wellness, because Terry's, you know what I mean? And so it's exciting to not have to do it alone. It's so exciting to not have to do it alone. And so I definitely encourage, while you do have to make sure that it's like-minded individuals and that you don't want to just share your vision with everybody and just, but do not be afraid to ask for help. Do not be afraid to share your vision, and allow people to step in there and collaborate.
And accept support.
Accept support. That was hard for me, and I did it.
Yep.
And shout out to Jamila T. Davis. Shout out to Jamila T. Davis, who was like, sis, we could do this. Like, I'm like, I can do it. And so, she really helped to kind of push that idea to help realize that idea. And so I
Awesome. This has really been great. It's still your time flies when you're having fun. Look forward to getting you back on to talk about the House of GWK soon. All right. Take care and be blessed. And thank you for being a part of the Coaxum Report.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.